Now, the Lord appeared again to Abraham, this time near the great trees of Mamre. As he was outside the tent in the heat of the day, he looked up and he saw 3 men standing nearby. He hurried to meet them and then bowed low with his face to the ground. "My lords," he said, "please do not pass your servant by. Let a little water be brought. You can wash your feet. You can rest under this tree. Let me get you something to eat. Now that you have come to your servant." "Very well," they answered. "Do as you say." So Abraham hurried to the tent to Sarah. "Quick, bake some bread." Then he ran to the herd and selected a choice tender calf and gave it to a servant who hurried to prepare it. He then brought some curds and milk and the calf that had been prepared, and he set these before them. While they ate, he stood near them under a tree. "Where is your wife Sarah?" they asked him. "There, in the tent," he said. Then the Lord said, "I will surely return to you at the appointed time next year, and Sarah, your wife, will have a son." Now Sarah, she was listening at the entrance to the tent, which was behind them. She laughed as she thought to herself, "Now that I am worn out and my husband is old, will I have this pleasure?" Then the Lord said, "Why did Sarah laugh and say, 'Will I really have a child now that I am old?' Is anything too hard for the Lord? I will return to you at about this time next year, and Sarah will have a son." Now Sarah was afraid, so she lied and she said, "I did not laugh." But he said, "Yes, you did. Laugh." Now the Lord was gracious to Sarah, and he did for Sarah what he had promised. Sarah bore Abraham a son when he was 100 years old. And Abraham gave the name Isaac to the son Sarah had borne him. When Isaac was 8 days old, Abraham circumcised him, just as God had commanded. Sarah said, "God has brought me laughter, and everyone who hears about this will laugh with me. Who would have said to Abraham that Sarah would nurse children? Yet I have borne him a son in his old age." Now sometime later, God tested Abraham. He said to him, "Abraham." "Here I am," he answered. Then the Lord said, "Take your son, your only son, Isaac, whom you love, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on one of the mountains that I will tell you about." Early the next morning, Abraham got up and he saddled his donkey. He took with him 2 of his servants and his son, Isaac. When he had cut enough wood for the burnt offering, he set out for the place that God had told him about. Now on the third day he looked up and he saw the place in the distance. He said to his servants, "Stay here with the donkey, while I and the boy go over there. We will worship, and then we will come back to you." Abraham took the wood he had cut for the burnt offering. He placed it on his son Isaac, while he himself carried the fire and the knife. As the two of them went on together, Isaac spoke up and he said to his father Abraham, "Father?" "Yes, my son?" "With the fire and the wood are here, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" Abraham answered, "God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son." And the two of them went on together. And when they reached the place that God had told him about, Abraham built an altar there. Then he arranged the wood on it. And then he bound his son Isaac and he laid him on top of the wood. Then he reached out his hand to take the knife to slay his son. But the angel of the Lord called out to him from heaven, "Abraham, Abraham." "Here I am," he answered. "Do not lay a hand on the boy. Do not do anything to him. For now I know that you fear God, for you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." Abraham looked up, and there in a thicket he saw a ram caught by its horns. He went over and he took the ram and he sacrificed it on the altar instead of his son. So Abraham called that place, "The Lord will provide." And to this day it is said, "On the mountain of the Lord it will be provided."